All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll jump in and we'll start going through this. Welcome to week 11 of Women in the Bible. We're going to just have a short recording tonight. If you're listening to this and you haven't downloaded and taken the final exam yet, I'll give you a chance to pause your recording because we're about to give some answers. And so go ahead and pause the recording and do your best to take the quiz, answer all the questions on the final exam, and then you can resume and you'll be able to hear all the answers here. So this is your last chance. Spoilers follow now. All right. Okay, well, let's take a look at the matching on page 1. If we want to look at the right, and we'll go by content, we'll start with A. Whose son was raised from the dead? That was our Shunammite woman, yes. So that's number 4. 4 is A. Which woman do we learn about from a poem handed down to Solomon?
Proverbs 31 woman.
This was our Proverbs 31 woman. We believe that Proverbs 31 is basically an acrostic, a Hebrew poem that's giving the... I guess Solomon really didn't listen to Mom very well because he decided 1,000 wives were better than finding that one. Thought that Jesus was innocent but was ruled by superstition. That's Pilate's wife. So that's number 1 is C. Lack of bitterness allowed her to be useful. This is our servant girl, so that's number 6. 6 is D. Who was wrecked by loss and became bitter? Could be 2, but there's a better answer, one than the other. That's going to be Job's wife, yes. So Job's wife is E. And then who could not avoid her attachment to the world system? That's Lot's wife. She looked back. So number 3 is going to be F. So C, E, F, A, B, D gets that first section. All right, multiple choice. I tried to have a little fun here. I don't know if you guys picked up on, I tried to use the same answers to see if you could kind of figure out which Mary I was talking about. Which Mary had a brother that was raised from the dead and understood Jesus' words about his coming death?
D.
This was D, Mary of Bethany. She understood his words so well that she anointed him for burial a week before his death. And she took the opportunity because she knew he wasn't going to be around, because he was going to rise from the dead. 8, a young maid who was called upon to do something no other woman had ever done, nor had done since. That's got to be the Mary, A. Cast 7 demons out of her and visited her first upon his resurrection.
B.
This was Mary Magdalene, yes, B. Piece of cake. I know no one's missed any yet. Everybody's got 100 A+ so far, right, Art?
Nope.
You're right there with us. All right, number 10. 10 and 11 are exactly the same lesson, but just to a person in a different situation. So, number 10, who was in a perfect environment but needed to learn to trust God, that he had provided everything? That was Eve. Eve was the one who needed to learn the lesson that even if you're in a perfect environment, you're still going to act independently from God from time. That's what we learned from the first dispensation, the dispensation of innocence. And then who was waiting for God to fulfill his promises, but kind of went ahead and took matters into her own hands, needed to wait and trust God to provide. That's a tough one there. Who's 11?
That goes to Dorcas.
I must not have read the last part. Well, Rachel, I meant. Not Rachel. That was Rahab. Were we on 11?
This is 11.
Was it D?
This one is A. This is Rebecca. So Rebecca, remember, was promised with 2 twins in her womb that the older would serve the younger. And instead of waiting for God to bring that about, she made sure that her favorite got the blessing. So again, she needed to wait for God to fulfill his promises, but went ahead and acted independently. So 11 is going to be A, Rebecca. That was a tough one. There, I guess Rahab had some waiting to do as well. And
Brought her family, huh?
Dorcas was dead, so I don't know how much waiting. It was probably might have been easier for her to wait. 12, in the middle of suffering, this woman forgot about the goodness of God, and it made her bitter.
But both.
And
That applies to both Job's wife and Naomi. Good catch there, guys. Excellent catch. C, both A and B is the correct answer there. Job's wife, again, tremendous suffering. We commiserate with her in losing her children, but losing sight of who God is. This is not something that Job did. Job said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, naked, blessed be the name of the Lord. He continued to bless God. He did not lose sight of God's goodness. But his wife did. And then Naomi, when you compare her to Ruth, she really struggled. She said, call me bitter. God has dealt wickedly with me. And said 3 things about God that lead us to believe that she thought she was being given the short end of the stick. She thought God was dealing with her unfairly. So both A and B there. These women, 13, used a biblical curriculum to train a man who would later become the pastor at the church at Ephesus.
Lois.
This is Timothy's mother and grandmother, Lois and Eunice. So we're going to say that's C. 14 is a duo that needed to work together, and it could be 2, but the clue I give really narrows it down to 1 group. These women needed to learn how to be like-minded because they were causing a disruption in the church at Philippi.
Euodias.
That's Euodias and Syntyche. Yes, Euodias and Syntyche. All right. On the back now, 15. These women showed tremendous faith and were used by God to help elevate one of the greatest leaders that Israel has ever known.
Miriam and Jochebed.
So that's going to be Moses, his mother and his sister. Yes, Miriam and Jochebed, A. These women struggled to get along, but, again, that could be Euodias and Syntyche, but Euodias and Syntyche did not become matriarchs of 2 great nations. Which ladies couldn't get along, but that's Sarah and Hagar. Yes, the Hebrews and the Ishmaelites, which became the Arabians. So D is number 16. All right, let's take a look at our next matching section. Who was our prisoner who became a courageous queen?
Esther.
That was Queen Esther. Yes, that's 20. It's A. All right, so here's where kind of got tricky. Instead of using the obvious one for Dorcas and Tabitha, I gave you a little known fact about Dorcas and Tabitha, that she made clothes, remember, for the... So her generosity helped to start a thriving church. So B is 24. That's Dorcas and Tabitha right there. So I didn't focus in on the obvious one for her, that she was raised from the dead. I tried to focus on a character quality for her. Her generosity helped those because I think she made clothes for the poor, is what we talked about her. All right. Which one of these was a close friend of Jesus but served him with some anxiety?
Martha.
That's Martha of Bethany. That's 25. C. All right. Lust for wealth for this lady ended one of Israel's judges.
Delilah.
That's Delilah. Yeah, she wanted to get paid. That's 17 is D. Tricked her grandfather into a possession. That's Tamar. That's 27. Very sad story of Judah and Tamar. Killed her grandchildren to satisfy a lust for power.
Athaliah.
That was mean old Athaliah. When I see the Snow White wicked stepmother and the wicked queen, that Athaliah just comes to mind. That's the picture that comes to mind. There's no scruples, all wickedness there. Who declared that she would serve God no matter what.
Ruth.
Keyword declared. Yes, that's 21. That's Ruth's declaration. She declared, this is what I'm going to do. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. I will go. I will dwell where you dwell. I will die where you die, and there I will be buried. She gave a declaration. That's 21G. Who showed her faith and excitement for the work of God?
The gatekeeper.
This was Rhoda the gatekeeper. Yes, 26 is H. Remember, she got so excited serving the Lord that she forgot to open the door for Peter and went back and told everybody that their prayers had been answered, but forgot to open the door. So we applaud her excitement, but we ask her next time not to make the apostle wait at the gate so long. Who hated God's man and God's authority?
Jezebel.
That's a description of Jezebel. She hated Elijah. Oh, wow. She said, if you this time tomorrow, if you're alive, if you're not like one of my prophets, then I'm not the queen. And boy, she learned her lesson. Showed faith and then care for her family. This is going to be Rahab. That's 22. So she said, I want you to protect my family. He's going to win. We've been hearing all the stories. I believe the stories, but I need you to protect me and to protect my family as well. So that was Rahab. 22 is J. And then who lied about her gift to the church?
Sapphira.
That was Sapphira. 23 is K. 23 is K. All right, so this was probably the toughest part because it's modified true and false. You had to know the name. You had to be able to come up with the name to see if I messed it up, right? So who was Anna the prophetess that ruled Israel along with Barak, telling him that he wouldn't get the glory but a woman would? Nope, that was false, but who was it?
Deborah.
It was Deborah, yes. So you write Deborah there in the blank. Abigail, a woman married to a foolish man, whose wisdom, humility, and generosity, did it save David from shedding innocent blood? Yes, it did. That was true. David had packed his sword, and he was ready to come and do some business, and her generosity, humility, and wisdom shut that down. All right, 30. Vashti, a queen who refused to present herself to a lustful group of drunken men, resulted in Ruth becoming the new queen. No, that was Esther. That was Esther, not Ruth. Who was a deaconess in the church who Paul relied upon to use her gift to minister to the church at Rome? That was true. That was Phoebe. So if I'd have said the church at, that would have been Dorcas. Her church was it Acts 9 was, help me out, Acts 9. It could have been Antioch. Why am I thinking like Laodicea or Lystra for some reason?
Joppa. Who's the Joppa?
Joppa was, okay, that was the word I just read. Okay, so it was an early group. Okay, but Phoebe was at Rome. Okay.
There's a Dorcas Baptist Church in Crestview, Florida. In case you want to visit.
Okay, they ought to change it to Tabitha to make it. All right, who used the tent stake to bring a battle to a close, giving Israel the victory?
Jael.
That was Jael, not Orpah. But Orpah had to get her name in there somehow, so I tried to include her. All right, Dinah was the daughter of Isaac, who was raped when she went out to see the daughters of the land. She's the daughter of Jacob.
Oh.
Tricked you there. So remember that you would have only been able to get that one if you remember when I listed all of I said Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. But what about Dinah? Right? What about Dinah? They were too busy struggling for Jacob's attention that nobody was keeping an eye on Dinah. So she went out to check out the daughters of the land herself, and without supervision ended up getting herself in trouble. So 33 was Jacob, not Isaac. Priscilla, married to Aquila, was used to correct Apollos.
True.
That's very true. Now, there's probably others that they corrected, but the one we talked about was Apollos. And then Hannah, a faith-filled mother who gave birth to Samuel. That was also true. Also true. All right, guys, this has been a very enjoyable class. I hope that we planted some seeds, because 15 or 20 minutes is not enough to talk about each of these stories, and we left a lot of meat on the bone. So hopefully you will dive in. Jennifer asked for these notes. She and Karen and Betsy are putting together our summer class, Women of the Bible, and she's going to use some of the information in our outline kind of as a jumping off point. But she really hopes to focus more on practical things that they can learn, things that they can use in their lives. So again, there's a lot of different directions that you can go with this, but I just hope that it's a beneficial study. I hope you enjoy it. I enjoyed digging in and learning some things that were new for me. And hopefully this gives you some work to do. So any questions there? You just missed one, right? Just missed one or two?
I misspelled my name.
No problem. All right. Well, again,
I have a question.
yes, sir.
Well, it's with a song we sing. That it says 5 wounds for Christ. And I came up with 7 or 8. And I'm trying to think. Because I know songbook theology is not theology. 'Cause I wasn't sure.
I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I would also say the crown of thorns would be
His
6,
back got whipped.
and then his back would be 7.
He had the spear on the side, you said. His beard got pulled out.
So
And he sweated blood drops.
I would say at least 7, if not more. But I think what they're saying
I don't know
is
if these counted as 1,
piercings.
these counted
Yeah,
as-
it's possible that they're saying these are 1, those are 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5.
You know
It's
his face had been bleeding.
it's possible.
His beard,
Yeah, I think he was so bloodied and bruised that he wasn't recognizable to anybody who knew him. And I think that's what Isaiah, that's the prophecy that Isaiah was going to say.
I forgot to ask you the other week.
That one you're going to have to save for the songwriter. Whoever wrote that song would have to let you know what 5 wounds he was talking about. Well, that's all. We're going to let you out of here early tonight, guys. So